But besides the doing the bare, life things, getting up and taking a shower, that's about as much as I accomplish. Just not many things that I've accomplished in the last 2 weeks. Um, and I've been kind of down on myself for that. And while I'm not necessarily patting myself on the back and proud of that, um, I just know that it can't be over if I don't give up. This can't fail. Or the things that I want in life cannot necessarily um, fail as long as I keep trying. But they're for sure going to fail if I stop trying. What is going on, my podcast people? It is your boy Cam. I don't know what I was gonna say. I think I was gonna say KX Cam Chronicles. I don't know what I was gonna say, but it's your boy Cam back here with another podcast. I believe this is episode 16. Keeping these going 16 weeks straight, man. I can tell you right now, I did not want to record this podcast. It is 8:30 p.m. on a Sunday, the same Sunday that I mean to upload this podcast. We'll see. You'll see if I get it out before the date. Does the date on this podcast actually say Sunday, the 20th? Or does it say the 21st? We'll see. Hopefully I can get it out. But man, just powering through. And I think this is actually going to be a pretty good podcast. It is a solo podcast for you all fans out there. You usually tell by the thumbnail if I have another person in it. I have a guest, but if it's just me, that's all you get. Not all you get. That's what you get, man. You come here the podcast to hear my opinion. No. But if you do enjoy the solo podcast, man, I do appreciate it. And this is going to be a good one. Got some interesting kind of deep topics to talk about. So hopefully you're interested. As a reminder, always down below, there is the topics I'm going to talk about. So if you want to just kind of scroll or fast forward to those topics, I don't mind it. I'd love if you watch the full podcast, but I get it, man. You got only X amount of hours in the day. You want to see what's interesting to you and then move on with your day. So I appreciate you for even clicking on the video, listening to the podcast in general or at all. But, as we start off, a little life update, man. I'm starting to get back out of my rut that I was talking about. I believe I was talking about in the podcast before. I had Mr. TBT on Colin on. That was a great podcast, by the way. I don't feel like that got enough attention. So if you do want to go check that out, that will be on my channel. But yeah, I was talking about that a week, the podcast before I had him on, and just I don't know, man. I wasn't really going to work. For those that are new, I just do Uber Eats. Makes pretty good money. I didn't really want to get tied down with like a. It's not. I mean, Uber Eats is technically a 9 to 5, so I just didn't want to get into a situation where I was working with an employer and I had to be there for certain hours because I like to just work my own hours. And I, with the YouTube stuff, I have to be kind of available to do stuff whenever. If somebody needs to record a podcast at this time, and it only works for that time for them, then I have to be ready for that. Streaming different releases of games or content like DLCs in the games, have to be ready to do that in the middle of the night or things like that. Trying to get better at that, but I just wanted something to be a little bit more flexible. I don't know why I went into detail on that, but anyway, I hadn't been going to work too much. I just started going back to work on this Friday. So that was 2 days ago from when the release of this podcast is. But yeah, I realize I still need money. But trying to actually secure me a car. I'm driving. My dad's been nice enough to kind of lend me or rent me his car while I am doing this. I might have to give y'all a tour, maybe on another channel. We'll see. It might be a secret channel of the of the little 2007 Honda minivan. It's very many stories. I had that through all throughout high school, and I'm still working with it. But yeah, that's kind of the life update. Trying to get me this car, working out the numbers for that. I really don't want to keep a car too much more than 2 years. I kind of want to turn around and get a Tesla. It's really my only want, and so it's like, though I am very good with money, I realize that it's like, all right, if that's my only want, I might as well get it so I can just kind of not have to just get that out of the way. Like I'm not always budgeting, and if I had the money to get it, I'm gonna go ahead and get it. So right now, I just can't really afford the monthly payments. Like I could afford it, but it's like I don't want to be stretching, and I want to be in a position where I can be able to pay off the car in full. But I'm just paying the monthly payments so I can actually invest the money that I would have paid in full for the car with and gain more money on that money while I'm paying the payments. And so in order to do that, I need to carve in the next 2 years until I get to that point, working with, hopefully YouTube starts making me some money, but, just doing Uber Eats and other, coding jobs and stuff until I'm able to build up enough money to, buy that car outright. I'm looking at getting a new car just because I think it will be, it's going to end up costing me just about the same to get a used car or to get a new car. That is because if I get a new car, that's around like 10 to 11 grand, which is what I want and what I need to be reliable. Since I use the car for my job, I need it to be, I can't have it just, breaking down on me. So that's one of the things that I don't really want to get like a $5,000 car. But then I also need it to, what was I going to say? I needed to get good gas mileage. I need to get good gas mileage, so I needed to be a hybrid, and those are typically more expensive. So anyway, if I'm talking about a used car, getting a used car, I'm looking at around $10,000 to $11,000 for what I want. I'd be paying that off, pretty quickly here. And then I'd be out 11 grand initially, and then in 2 years I'd sell it back. With an 11 grand car, something that I'm looking at for a hybrid. Usually has around 100 to 120,000 miles on it. So I'm probably looking at putting around 70,000 miles in the next 2 years on the car. So that's close to 200,000 miles. A car of that valuation will probably be valued at $4,000 to $5,000. So if you take that $11,000 that I just spent, and I get back 4,000 to 5,000, I spent 67 grand in total. If you look at a new car, say I buy a new car for like 32 grand, and my payments are $500 a month. And I put 5,000 down, right? I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but I'm doing the math for you. $500 a month for 24 months would be 2 years, is about $12,000 plus that $5,000 of the down payment. So that's 17 grand that I shelled out over the 2 years, as opposed to 11 grand upfront for the used car. So I am shelling out more over that 2 years, initially before the resale. I shell out 17 grand. And then I sell the car. I can sell the car for about $5,000 less. So I bought the car for 32. I sold it for 27. In the bank, I'm still, if you do the math in terms of how much of the loan I would have taken out, 5,000, I would have taken out a $27,000 loan because I put 5,000 down on a $32,000 car. So I had 27,000. I've already paid off. What is it? 12,000 on that loan necessarily? Yeah, 12,000 on that loan, which would be what? 15,000? Yeah, I'd be looking at 15,000 left in the loan. Selling the car for around 27 grand. I get 27 grand back. That 15 grand, I had to go pay that back. And then I get 12 grand back in my pocket. And that means that the 17 grand I initially sold out, I got back 12 grand. I only spent about 5 grand. I did the math wrong a little bit there. I don't know why I'm putting this in a podcast, but I'm too tired to edit it out. So if you're following me, I did the math a little bit wrong there, but basically it ends up to about the same cost of owning that car for 2 years, owning a new car for the 2 years, and owning the used car for the 2 years. And so that's what I'm looking at. But yeah, that's the life update. Yeah. Well, now you know all the information that you didn't need to know. But that's what I've just been calculating. I love to number crunch and STEM major over here. All right, man. Get into the first topic. Hopefully you skip through that if you're in the Oh man, am I gonna cut that out? We'll see. The first topic. I think I might make this like when I do my personal podcast, I might make this like a segment. I know I really only have the 2 segments of the life update at the beginning, and then at the end, my Cam Chronicle or my Cam cheat code. But I might make this a new segment when I do a podcast when it's just me. And that is like recommending like a documentary or like a film or a TV show, could be, just for you to watch, that you might not have heard of before, or you just have looked at before and never watched. But I did watch this documentary on Hulu that is called A Glitch in the Matrix. It just came out maybe this month. I don't know. It's fairly new. It's in 2021. Don't know what month it came out, but it's centered around the possibility that this world is a simulation. And I know there's a lot of jokes on Twitter, that we're living in simulation and blah blah blah. But it kind of goes into people that really believe, in that theory and that kind of have done research, that proves whatever they think, and they kind of just explain why they think this is true. And it's kind of interesting. I don't necessarily believe that, wholeheartedly, but it was really cool seeing the research and some of the possible scenarios that could be in this world. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. It is a little bit dark. It's a touch dark in terms of like the end of the world kind of stuff and just things that people have done because they didn't think it was real life. So, if you aren't, into any dark stuff or, not into any dark stuff, if you don't think you could handle something like that, then that might not be for you. But if you watch The Matrix and everything and you're good, I guess a little darker than Matrix, but I don't know. Check it out if you're interested in this topic. I thought it was pretty good. But I guess moving on to our first real topic, man. I was thinking about this this week, or I don't know, maybe over the past 2 weeks. And I was particularly thinking about this. When, bro, I can't stop thinking that I did that math wrong because I know I did it wrong. I need to cut that segment. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I was particularly thinking about this topic that this about this topic when I was watching this YouTuber called Sneeko. I've mentioned him, I guess, multiple times now on my podcast. I kind of recently found him. I've seen his videos before, like pop up on my feed a couple years back. I just never really clicked. But I just started watching him really in 2021, maybe a little bit in 2020, maybe a video or two. But this topic was that people that create content that makes time stop, like for you, are just goated, man. Like that's just like the best type of content to watch, where you're just totally immersed in the content, and every bit of it is entertaining. You want to figure out what's going to happen next. You're definitely entertained by whatever is going on screen. And I think that type of artwork definitely takes skill for sure. And his content, a majority of his content that I've watched does that. And yeah, just props to him. But also, I guess, let me know who does that for you in terms of films. It doesn't have to be YouTube. I just bring up that example. But I know that I love just going to the movie theater because it feels like most films that I watch, time stops. Well, I shouldn't say most. I should say like 45% when I actually go to the movie theater, time kind of like just stops and I am fully immersed in the content. And maybe that's the act of actually going somewhere specifically for the movie. Maybe that is what I'm feeling, but I don't know, man. People that can make you do that, make time stop for you, are definitely great content creators. And I would like to do that with my content one day. I don't know. I don't think it would necessarily happen on the podcast, but in terms of the videos that I do on the KX channel, in terms of documentaries, and hopefully on my other channels as well. But yeah, let me know down in the comments if you found like a particular producer is not the word, director, like film director that makes movies that kind of makes time stop for you, or a YouTuber that you're just totally immersed in the content, and yeah, you just are completely oblivious to the time that has gone by while watching their content, man. But the second topic of the day is about what am I saying? I'm tired. Forgive me for the uneditedness of this podcast, but the second topic that I had for today is also about artists and like just artists in general. But that being an artist today means that you have to keep creating content or else you will be forgotten. I thought this was a very interesting topic that I came across here. I don't know what I was watching. I might have just seen it on Instagram. You know how you kind of get an idea or somebody puts an idea in your head, and I just kind of had something to add to it. But this world is a world of instant gratification now. Everybody wants things as soon as possible. I'm pretty sure all of us, when we order something, We're upset if it takes more than 2 days because we're used to Amazon Prime shipping, and now they even have like an overnight option where you can get it in 9 hours. Crazy stuff. But we want everything on the go. We're worked up if a web page isn't loading. We're impatient like that, and that works the same way with content. People are they want things now and they want more of it um, as fast as possible. When they watch a Mr. Beast video, they're ready for the next Mr. Beast video. But he doesn't release every week. You have to wait. But if you are, even somebody of that stature, like Mr. Beast, if he uploads, for 1 week and then just forgets to upload for a couple of months, people, not that he is forgotten and not that his impact isn't still there, but his name is not in social media at all, and then he becomes forgotten. It's like you're absent from everybody else's life and the work that you've done for that moment while you're not posting content. And it kind of goes back to the saying that you're only as good as your last work. But it's almost not even that you're. Oh, hold on. What's happening here? Sorry about that. It's almost like you're only good to people when you are creating that content. You know, I don't know how to necessarily word that, but I would go back to the saying that you're only as great as your latest piece of content or your latest work or whatever, and people are only going to remember you for that. And um, you're just not going to be remembered if that content isn't Mr. Beast like as well. People are always going to want more, and they aren't going to continue to give to you or admire over your work if you aren't continually posting. Nobody is going back to watch your old videos um, if you aren't still posting in the space. There are multiple YouTubers. I just watched I just found a YouTuber that I subscribe to. I used to watch his vids on the daily. Like whenever he posted, I watched it. I watched his videos. I just enjoyed his content. He had like a Tesla, which is what I wanted to get. And I was just enthralled in his content. And I kind of wanted to model my YouTube career off of him. And I just found out, a couple days ago that he hasn't posted in like 2 years. And I used to watch this guy's content every single day. The last video he posted was like 2 years ago, and maybe I just said that, but it was 2 years ago, and I watched that last video. I watched the last video that he uploaded 2 years ago, and completely forgot about this guy, somebody that I used to watch every single day. So I just know that when I'm not uploading on my KX channel or on my other social medias, that people, not that I want them that they want I want them to have me on their mind all the time, but it's just that my work, I have to continue posting to constantly compete with everybody else that is putting content out there to get that attention and to ultimately make a living if this is your if this is your full-time job. And so that's just something that's dramatically different than it was years ago, where you have paintings that we still have you know um in museums that are people travel halfway across the world just to see, like the Mona Lisa. And while that wasn't the only work that he did, it's still something that we marvel, years and years later after it was done. Whereas we're not watching my first YouTube video, we're not watching, a great YouTube video that somebody had over and over and over again after a couple of years. Like it's not on display. It might get a couple 10,000 views out of the billion people on YouTube. If it was a great video, but it's just not remembered. They're looking for that new content. And if you're not posting that new content, then you aren't getting any attention at all. So I think I kind of went a little bit around in circles. So I'm not gonna try to go around in one more circle, but I think you get the gist of it. And let me know if you feel that way, or do you feel that creators have left a lasting impact on you, and you will continue to watch their content over again, even though they don't post anymore, or the type of content that you like anymore. Let me know down in the description, man. Let's start a conversation. But the third topic. Oh, before we start the third topic, I guess if you're this far into the podcast, you know, I don't know. I oh, I have my hat on just because don't have a haircut. I've been trying to get a haircut, and my barber has just not responded. Like I've sent this man like 5 text messages, and this man hasn't responded. So that's tough. I need to get a new barber. I'll be back up at Penn State. Actually, I don't know. I think my barber at Penn State graduated. Oh man, it's just rough. This COVID is throwing everything off. Hopefully he's there for one more year. I can't remember if he was a junior. Hopefully, no. I mean, he was probably a junior when I was a freshman, so that means he graduated. Tough. That's tough. Anyway, total sidebar. Just I don't know why I felt the need to add it, but I did. Anyway, the third topic I had was the topic of intelligence, and that intelligence is not everything. I was watching a YouTube video by a YouTuber called Captain Sinbad, and he does a lot of productivity, videos, but also kind of like funny skits and really, what's the word? What is it called? Film. I can't think of the word, but just like kind of short films on his channel that are really cool. And I found him a couple of years ago, or I think maybe a couple of years ago, right before college. So definitely a good YouTube channel. You should check it out. Hopefully, I'll not forget to link it up here in the left hand corner. But he basically was talking about how intelligence really makes up only 25% of your actual productivity or your worth, as a person. And I guess, there are a lot of other things that make up your worth. Maybe that's not necessarily the right word, but how smart you actually are and how efficient you actually are. Intelligence is only 20 to 25%. And I think he goes on in the video to break it up, what are the other percentages, but it's basically, he basically talks about the principle of, working hard, but also just being willing to do the tedious tasks that others aren't, even though they know the tasks exist. For example, I've been trying to create this documentary for my KX channel. There's been a lot of tedious tasks where I have to go and learn how to actually edit a certain part to my liking. I want this done in the documentary, but I don't know how to edit it, so I have to watch a 2-hour video to basically edit a 1 minute or less, 30 seconds, 20-second part in the documentary. And that has been a big part of what stopped me from releasing it. It's that tedious work that I don't necessarily want to do, and I can't motivate myself to do very easily. People that strive in being able to receive direction and actually execute on that direction, not necessarily without question and not, in respect for their own well-being or their worth as a person, but just to accomplish and to achieve what they actually want, that trait is almost second to none. Those that are actually willing to get in there, they have the motivation to just do the hard work, the things that nobody wants to do, for hours on end. Those are some of or a lot of the people that succeed and don't necessarily have to be, book or street smart. They just are doing the work. They're just putting in the work, and they're going to get some, at least 80% of the reward. So I just thought that was an interesting take on it. And I definitely do believe that. I don't, I think when I was younger, I definitely kind of went in, I was around peers that I felt that I was the smartest one in the group. And that was a problem because I wasn't elevating myself. And then I was also beginning to have an ego towards my smarts, like that I was the smartest person. And that was around when I was like 14 or 15. And I went to like a private school with a bunch of smart kids, and that ego got destroyed pretty quickly because I did not do well the first few years of high school. But I even in those next 2 years of high school, it wasn't necessarily that I became more intelligent. I just became better at actually working and putting in the work and not just being naturally, intelligent or, per se. Just consistently putting in the work and doing just enough to get the result that I wanted, not overworking myself or not, locking myself in a room for 8 hours and studying, just doing the things that I knew, in the formula that would actually end me with the result that I wanted, which was a B or an A in the class, and maybe a C in some occasions, But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting sentiment. I think I could definitely go back and forth with that, with talking with another person. But let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think that intelligence is a small portion of what a person's worth is, or how smart they are? Um, or do you think it's a bigger portion? Do you think it's the majority portion of how to judge um, a person's success? Let me know. That's just something I was thinking about, and I wanted to bring to the podcast to kind of not jog your memory, but yeah, to just start a conversation, I guess, because I'm blanking for the words like crazy. But before we go into, I only had really three topics for you. I felt like those were they were kind of somewhat deep. I think we can get into a bigger conversation. If you reply in the comments, maybe we can do that. But I wanted to also ask you guys before we do get into the cam cheat codes. Is there or bro, I literally just can't remember what I'm thinking. Do you want 30-minute episodes, or when it's just me on the podcast? I think it kind of fits a little bit better. But I can definitely go back to the hour form. I have more topics. I'm just trying to kind of keep it around 30 minutes because what I've seen is obviously there's a lower view count for when it's just me on the podcast, which is totally understandable. One person podcast is it's a hard thing to pull off, and I totally understand that. But for those that actually like it, do you want me to just do a 30-minute episode with just 3 to 4 topics, or would you like me to go that whole hour? Maybe I only do have 3 to 4 topics, but I really expand on them and have a conversation and show both sides. Let me know down in the comments. If anything, I know I asked you for a lot of comments this episode, but if anything, definitely comment down below if you want 30 minutes or you want the hour KX, the KX back. If you want the hour long cam back, and I'll make that happen for you guys, because I definitely want to make sure that I'm giving you the content, especially solo, that you actually want, and not just whatever, just kind of throwing whatever together. So, yeah, any feedback would be appreciated. Definitely leave that down below, as well as leaving a like. Definitely leave a like on the podcast if you made it this far and are enjoying. But on to the cam cheat codes. If you're new here, I do this segment every time I have a podcast, or every podcast. It is called the cam cheat codes because I basically just give you a tip for maybe it's life, maybe it's content creation, maybe it pertains to something even more minute, but just a tip overall. And I do this every podcast, but if I have a guest, I allow them to, or I ask them to give us a cheat code and tip to give us a different perspective, so you're not always hearing advice from me, but you're hearing multiple different voices and advices, pieces of advice. But the cam cheat code for this week is going to be a very simple one. And I was like, oh, I kind of have, I have my cam cheat codes kind of written out in my my notes here on my phone, and this one wasn't really on there, but it's fitting for what I need to hear and what I feel like others might need to hear just during this time, or in general in life. And that cheat code is to never stop trying, to not give up. I know you've heard this multiple times. It's not an outstanding piece of advice, that hasn't ever been heard of before. But I think it is a reminder that everybody needs, time from time to time. I think it's a reminder that people need, from time to time, and that some people don't hear enough. For me, like I was saying, I have not been, very productive in the last 2 weeks. I have not done much at all. I have tried to maintain these podcasts, barely holding on to those. But besides doing the bare, life things, getting up and taking a shower, That's about as much as I accomplished, just not many things that I've accomplished in the last 2 weeks. Um, and I've been kind of down on myself for that. And, while I'm not necessarily patting myself on the back and proud of that, um, I just know that it can't be over if I don't give up. This can't fail. Or the things that I want in life cannot necessarily um, fail as long as I keep trying. But they're for sure going to fail if I stop trying, you know? And, I get there are so many people that, whenever I tell them something, it's like, oh, what about this? What about that? And, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And you have to be prepared for the worst in life. And it's so funny how people will apply that to things that they can't comprehend, um, or that they don't believe is possible. But for the things that they want to do, they completely write all those things that they ask me about off. It's like, in terms a quick example, in terms of a college degree, like if somebody was saying they didn't want to go to college, right? You know, as opposed to a person that was going through college and got the degree, right? Oh, well, what if you don't have enough money, working whatever job you're working? What if, this doesn't succeed in 5 years? What if this goes wrong? What if we have another, apocalypse? Like, just every single thing. People will come up with every single thing in the book to, basically just say that you can't do something. Just be like, well, it's not plausible. There are so many obstacles and things that could go wrong in life. We could have a Great Depression, and you won't have that money to live on your own and do all these things, right? But they won't apply that to their path in life. What if you get a college degree? It's not guaranteed that you get a job. What if you don't get a job? What if there is a depression and you don't have money, or that person funding you going to college doesn't have money to send you to college? Like all of these things affect the other way. It's just because one is more socially acceptable, or one is the one that one way is what that person deems as a safe path. Then that becomes the better option. It's only when that happens. And so I just say, don't give up for whatever your dreams are, for whatever you're trying to do in life. It's going to be hard. You're definitely going to have downs, and you might have more downs than you thought. And the downs might be worse than you thought. The downs might be worse than you thought. But if you really want to execute and you really want to do whatever it is that you're trying to do in life, I think you will have at least a tiny bit of success, enough to spark either greater drive or satisfaction within you, with whatever you're trying to do, as long as you don't give up and you keep trying to make a way. Because at the end of the day, if it's what you want to do with your life, then it's going to make you happy, and you're going to be way more willing to struggle through that than to struggle with anything that isn't what you want to do in life. At any hardship in something that you don't want to do in life, excuse me, it makes it 10 times worse. If I don't want to be an accountant for, the rest of my life, then any slight, challenge or mishap in that job is just going to be so much more tedious and, hard for me to overcome, rather than a setback. That's really the word I was looking for. A setback in the path that may be quote unquote harder, but is a path of what I want to actually do with my life. So that's my advice. That's my Cam Chico for the week. So hopefully that was inspiring to somebody. I need to take my own advice. I'm trying to get this content out. Hopefully, hopefully you see it soon. It's definitely great. I think it's great. Hopefully you enjoy it. And if you've been watching these podcasts and you see that content come out, just let me know that you've heard it and you've seen it and you've been watching these podcasts, because it would definitely mean a lot to me. And feel like I'm actually getting somewhere. But we're gonna keep on trucking through whatever I got to, whatever I got to do to achieve what I want in life. And yeah, make sure to leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the podcast. Don't subscribe to the channel if you didn't enjoy the podcast. I've been kind of thinking about asking people to subscribe in terms of just blatantly asking people to subscribe. And I think that I'm just going to stop asking people to subscribe um, as an action call in my videos. And the only reason I'm going to do that is because I want the subscribe to be organic. I don't think I've subscribed to somebody off an action call to say, "Hey, subscribe to hit that," subscribe, if you're new. I'm not subscribing if I don't like the content. I only subscribe to people. Yes, I might be subscribed to 100 people, but that's over what 7 years of watching YouTube. So that's what almost less than 7 people. No, I didn't do that math right. Anyway, it's not more than 15 people a year that I subscribe to. If you just divvy it up over those years. So I don't really subscribe easy. Given that fact and given other people that I've talked to, I just think it's better that you subscribe on your own. But if you like the content, you're not ready to subscribe, definitely hit that like button because it will benefit me. It'll help to get this content to other people, and that's the goal. So definitely leave a like to help me out, but don't subscribe if you didn't really enjoy the content or you need me to prove myself more. I'm definitely, I feel like I could do that for you. So keep coming back for the content. Hopefully it shows up on your recommended. All right, this podcast has been too long. I've been rambling. I don't know what that beginning was. Sorry for the the number, outbreak at the beginning. I don't know if I'm gonna cut it out. We'll see. If I didn't, hopefully you enjoyed. Nah, man. I will see you guys next week. Hopefully, we're gonna have a really, really cool guest, and we're gonna have a really cool guest no matter what. But if it's a guest that I think, next episode is gonna be something to, it's not gonna be something to miss. Might be, when I don't want to say my greatest guest yet because all my guests are great. But definitely going to be a different perspective is what I want to say. Definitely a different perspective, a different type of guest than I have had on the show before. And so I'm very excited to have this person on. But you'll have to tune in next week to see that person. And if it's not that person, you'll never know because it'll be a guest either way. So, alrighty, guys. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Leave a like. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.